Hello everyone and welcome back to another video with Crazy Commerce. So today we're going to be studying an IGCSE topic of economics, fiscal policy. Now we'll have a look at the syllabus of it. So we'll be looking at the definition of the budget, the reasons for the government spending, reasons for taxation, classification of taxes, principles of taxation, impact of taxation, definition of fiscal policy, the fiscal policy measures, and the effects of fiscal policy on government macroeconomic aims. So this is a macroeconomic topic. Okay, so first we need to know the basic terms which is relating to fiscal policy. So the first term is budget. Now budget is the relationship between the government revenue and the government spending. Now government revenue is what the government saves or what they have with them, like an income, and the government spending is the amounts which the government spends. And budget deficit means the government spending, that means the things which government spends on, is higher than the government revenue. Budget surplus is the government revenue higher than government spending. So the government has more rather than they spend. And national debt is the total amount of the government which has been borrowed over time. So the government borrows from the central bank, right? So that total amount is known as the national debt. Okay, so now there are reasons for the government spending. And those reasons are first, to influence the economic activity. Now the government will want to influence the economic activity by increasing their spending so that this increases the aggregate demand. And aggregate demand is the total demand for a country's product. So that when the aggregate demand is high, the firms will produce more output, and that will increase that will result in economic growth. And the second point is to reduce market failure. Now government spends on public goods since it's not a job done by the private sector. So they spend on the merit goods which are beneficial for the consumers and the people in the country, and they spend their money regulating markets where there's a difference between the social and the private costs and the benefits and abuse of market power. So the third point is to promote equity. So government provides benefits and products to the poor and the unemployed. So government has to provide like state pensions to the retired so that they promote fairness between everyone. And the last point is to pay interest on national debt. So this is if a government has borrowed from a central bank in the past, so they'll have to repay that loan by paying interest. Okay, so the next point is to discourage the consumption of imports, hence protect domestic industries. So this means that the government will want their citizens to buy more of the domestic products rather than the imported rival products. So they're going to put taxes on those imported rival products so that the citizens start to buy the domestic products. And the imported products are going to be the foreign products coming from outside. So the next point is to influence economic activity. So this taxation helps in influencing the economic activity to be used to change the aggregate demand. So in an economy, if there's rising unemployment, then the government could cut taxes could decrease the taxes in order to increase the consumption and investment. So this is the final point for the reasons for levying taxation. Okay, so there are categories of taxes, and in this, the first one is indirect tax. So indirect tax is taxes on expenditure. Now expenditure means spending. So on whatever you spend, there'll be taxes. That's called indirect tax. And the second one is direct tax, and these are taxes on income and wealth. So the taxes on your earnings, that's called the direct tax. Okay, and progressive tax means the larger percentage of income of the rich. So all this tax will be on the income of the rich people. And regressive tax is the larger percentage of income of poor. So in progressive it was income of rich, and in regressive it's income of poor. And proportional tax is the same percentage of income of all taxpayers. So it's opposite of regressive. Regressive and progressive takes percentage of income of poor and rich separately. But proportional tax takes the same percentage of income for all the taxpayers. And bond yield means the rate of interest put on the government debt. Income tax is a tax on the income that people receive. So the earnings which you have, there'll be a particular income tax on it. And there's another type of tax which is called the corporation tax. That refers to a tax which is on the profits of the firms. So the role of fiscal policy is to finance the government spending, to alter the distribution of income and wealth, tackle the market failures, improve competitiveness, and manage the economic style. And remember, the more the government spends, the more the aggregate demand increases, and the less the government spends, the less the aggregate demand. And direct taxes influences the aggregate demand and the long run aggregate supply, and indirect tax influences the short run aggregate supply. We'll be learning about this more in another topic. So current spending is the expenditure on wages and raw materials. So this means it's in short term. Expenditure on wages and raw materials is something which will change. So this will be in short term. And capital spending is the spending on physical assets in long term. This means examples are roads, bridges, hospital. So these are the physical assets which will remain in the long term. Okay, so elastic goods are goods which have many substitutes. So they could be our daily products which we buy. They could be milk, cheese, butter. So here the equilibrium is first at point E. Then the supply decreases and there is a shift to the left, and the new equilibrium is E1. After that we marked Z and O. We marked a line Z and O over here, and then we shade both the proportions which we get, and when we shade them, we'll get the tax burden for consumer lesser than the tax burden for the producer. This is because in elastic goods there are many substitutes. So if the price for one product in shop A is high, then the consumer can go to shop B and buy the same product for a lower price. So here the producer will have to pay more tax because they'll have to change the products, or they'll have to shift to the changes of their consumers, like the taste preferences could change. So it's all on to them. The consumers don't have to worry because they'll have many choices to choose from. Now when it comes to inelastic goods, these goods have very few substitutes. So they could be like luxury products such as Chanel, and they could also be things like fuel. So you don't have many substitutes for it. Here the inelastic goods diagram, the curve is steeper than the one elastic goods. So here the mark is initially at E, and then again there's a shift in supply. So the shift goes to the left, and we find the new equilibrium. That way the quantity decreases and the price increases. Again we mark the point Z, O, and then we find that the tax for the producer is lesser than the tax for the customer. This is because the customer has no substitutes to choose from. Either if they want the product, they'll have to buy it with a high price, or they'll have to consider not buying it. So customers have no choice and they will have to pay the tax here. So in elastic goods, customers have no choice and they have to pay the taxes. But in elastic goods, the consumers can anytime shift to the rival's product, so this will be a burden for the producer. So subscribe and like the video, and if you want more videos on these topics or any topics of economics, business and accounting, you could mention it down to me in the comment section below. And if you have any doubts on this topic, then you could again comment on the comment section below, and I will definitely respond to you. And keep the notification on so that you're notified on more of my new videos. Thank you.